I don't think any of us could have ever seen this coming. We all did as much as we could legally, and you don't know what you don't know. I do feel a little bit numb at this point. The only thing that we ultimately care about is that our nieces and nephews are safe, and they are. And that is the only thing that matters to any of us.
What is up, iCkEdMeL? Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for stopping by. More updates with regards to Ruby Franke. The probable cause affidavit is out. Thank you, Rabbit, for sending me this. Down the whole Rabbit News. And also thank you to the person on Reddit for posting this, aiming to distort. So we're going to go over this. It's 17 pages. Also, some interesting stuff about neighbors reportedly had called police multiple times out of concern for these children. And before we get started, make sure to check out my PayPal link with regards to my lawsuit. You can donate, or you can just share it, or if you're just curious, you can click the link. So let's start off here with the charges. The state of Utah versus Ruby Franke, case number, aggravated child intentionally or knowingly, second degree felony. So you have 6 of these charges here. Okay. Mandatory appearance. The offense date is August 30th, 2023. Current assigned judge. Parties, Ryan Sham, which is the state of Utah, the attorney, I believe. And the defendant, Ruby Franke, and they have the attorney, Caleb Cottom. This part here, we're not going to read the whole thing here. Proceedings, case filed, e-file, judge, probable cause affidavit, which we're about to get to. And so the initial appearance is scheduled on September 8th. 2023 at 1:30 p.m. So we're definitely going to be checking in on that. That's a request for discovery. We're going to skip past this also. This is the attorneys, the charges, and the events for things that were filed, which we're going to get into. State of Utah versus Ruby Franke. And so these are the charges, but there's differences in the descriptions of these. I guess this is how they got multiple charges. And so a second degree felony in that the defendant intentionally or knowingly inflicted upon a child serious physical injury, or having the care or custody of such child cause or permitted another to inflict serious physical injury upon said child. And such serious physical injury includes physical torture. And this is in violation of section so on and so forth. Now, the second charge here, it says here, intentionally or knowingly inflicted upon a child serious physical injury, or having the care or custody of such child cause or permitted another to inflict serious physical injury upon said child. And such serious physical injury includes any conduct that results in starvation or failure to thrive, or malnutrition that jeopardizes the child's life. So that's another difference in there. Now we have another one here where a second degree felony, intentionally or knowingly inflicted upon a child serious physical injury, or having the care or custody of such child cause or permitted another to inflict serious physical injury upon said child. And such serious physical injury includes conduct towards a child that results in severe emotional harm, severe developmental delay or intellectual disability, or severe impairment of the child's ability to function. Now, count 4 is repetitive. It's the same thing that we just read about: starvation or failure to thrive, or malnutrition that jeopardizes the child's life. So we'll move past that. Count 5 is repetitive as well. We just read that about the intellectual disability or severe impairment. And I believe this is probably because of the 2 children that were taken out of there. Now, the 6th charge here, it says intentionally or knowingly inflicted upon a child serious physical injury, or having the care or custody of such child cause or permitted another to inflict serious physical injury upon said child. And such physical injury includes any combination of 2 or more physical injuries inflicted by the same person, either at the same time or on different occasions. Affidavit of probable cause, state of Utah versus Ruby Franke. The arrestee above will be released automatically 24 hours from the time of the arrest, unless a magistrate signs an order and such order is returned to the jail before that time. If the judge has refused to sign the order, the arrestee will be released within a reasonable period of time, not to exceed 24 hours, which she can't bail out. They denied her any kind of bail. The charges here: offense dates August 30th, and arrestee narrative report. Reporting officer This was August 30th, 2134, which is 9:34 p.m. Probable cause statement. On August 30th, 2023, Ruby Franke was placed under arrest for the following. A child climbed out the window of an Ivan's residence belonging to Jody Hildebrandt and ran to a neighbor's home, knocked on the door requesting food and water. The neighbor observed duct tape on the ankles and wrists and contacted law enforcement. Upon arrival, law enforcement observed the wounds and malnourishment of a child to be severe and was transported to the hospital. The child was placed on a medical hold due to deep lacerations from being tied up. Wow. With rope and from malnourishment. Ruby Franke was seen on a YouTube video filmed in Jody Hildebrandt's downstairs, which was posted 2 days ago. The observation adds to Miss Franke, the mother of RF, being present in the home and having knowledge of the child stuff that was going on, malnourishment, and neglect. Miss Franke requested a lawyer and did not speak with us. With this information and the belief that Miss Franke had knowledge of malnourishment, the child stuff that was going on, and neglect, this charge will be enhanced to a second-degree felony. I asked, and so I'm just wondering, and you guys comment down below. She's being charged with these second-degree felonies, and they're saying she had knowledge. Who was was it both the business partner and the mother? I mean, obviously, it seems like they're complicit, right? But like, who was the one, or were they both doing it? Who was the one doing this to the kids? The main person. I don't know. It's just really, really odd. I asked that Miss Franke not be allowed to bail due to the severity of the injuries of her 2 kids located in the home and the fact that DCFS has taken 4 of Miss Franke's children into custody, and I have yet to speak with 2 of them. Victim blank was found at Jody Hildebrandt's residence after somebody made contact with the police, which I'm guessing that's the neighbor. Child was found to be malnourished and initially refused medical. After approximately 4 hours, blank agreed Jody Hildebrandt was found to be in the direct care of blank, and blank was determined to be malnourished by a medical professional upon arriving at the hospital. Ruby Franke was seen on a YouTube video filmed in Jody Hildebrandt's downstairs, which was posted 2 days ago. This observation adds to Miss Franke, the mother of blank, being present in the home and having knowledge of the child stuff that was going on, malnourishment and neglect. With this information and the belief that Miss Franke had knowledge of malnourishment, the child stuff, neglect, this charge will be enhanced to a second-degree felony. I asked that Miss Franke not be allowed bail due to the severity of the injuries and the fact that DCFS has taken 4 of Miss Franke's children into their custody, and I have yet to speak with 2 of them. So I don't know. It says here that Jody was in direct care of these kids, but Ruby, seen on YouTube videos on that channel that no longer exists, in the downstairs basement recording. I believe these to be additional condition to be continued detention, felony committed while on probation or parole, or while on bail awaiting trial on a previous felony charge. They were out on probation or parole. What's that about? See the details provided in the main narrative above. If any, the person would constitute a substantial danger to any other person or to the community, or is likely to flee the jurisdiction of the court. They pose a threat to the public and or they are a flight risk. This next page is a public safety assessment report. And it says here, new criminal activity scale, it's a 2. And failure to appear scale, I guess the chances or risk, it's a 2. It has 2 charges here. Increase 1 level, aggravated child stuff intentionally or knowingly. Risk factors, so they have her age, 41. Current violent offense, yes. And it says here, A, current violent offense and 20 years old or younger, no. Number 3, pending charge at the time of offense, no. Prior misdemeanor conviction, yes. Which I remember they mentioned, I think it was in the dispatch audio, something about a traffic thing. I don't know, could that be it, or is there something else? Prior felony conviction, no. Prior conviction, yes. Number 6, prior violent offense, 0. Prior failure to appear in the past 2 years, 0. Prior failure to appear older than 2 years, no. Prior sentence to incarceration, no. Recommendations: release with PRL1 conditions. Sign up for pretrial monitoring no later than 24 hours after release. Check in 1 time per month by phone. Hearing date reminders text. This is the continuation of the public safety assessment report, and it says ROR. And down here it says release types, release on own recognition, ROR, no conditions, release with conditions. They're just listing here the release types. And these are some of the default. It says pretrial release conditions, default, report your contact information with your attorney, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to skip past this. The following page is the rest of the release condition options, which, you know, she can't get out. So we'll skip past that. And I skipped the rest because it's just repetitive. So the next part that we need to talk about is Ruby Franke's neighbors called the cops several times out of concern for the children, sources say. An Ivins, Utah resident who lives nearby the family and asked not to be named for privacy tells Rolling Stone that he and other neighbors have called the police on Franke multiple times out of concern for the children, and notes there were weeks at a time where the children appeared to be left home without adult supervision. That's mind-boggling to me that they've called police about this. And I don't know, has the Child Protective Services never been involved? How can this happen? And weeks at a time, these kids left by themselves? The Santa Clarence Irvin's Police Department did not respond to a request for comment. Of course they didn't. In early 2022, it started getting weird. The neighbor tells Rolling Stone people were concerned because Ruby completely stopped her YouTube stuff, and then it just kind of turned dark. She taped up paper over all her windows. She would disappear for weeks at a time, and there's all these little kids just left alone in this house. Franke and her husband, Kevin Franke, did not respond to Rolling Stone's request for comment. Now, you know, the father, we've kind of talked about this, Kevin, and according to the article yesterday, one of the articles said that they had been separated for like not a year, but I think the beginning of this year, something like that. And I still don't understand how he wouldn't know. I mean, unless she's keeping the kids from him, she just kept the kids from him. I have no idea. Franke and her husband did not respond for comment. The cops were called, several times. They would come and they'd knock on the door and nobody would open up, the neighbor adds. Franke's sister, Ellie, and Julie and Bonnie, who were also content creators, called the YouTubers' arrest something that needed to happen and said keeping Franke's children safe is their only priority. I read this post and I'll read it again. For the last 30 years, we have kept quiet on the subject of our sister, Ruby Franke, for the sake of her children. Behind the public scene, we have done everything we could try and make sure the kids were safe. The Instagram statement read, we wouldn't feel right about moving forward with regular content without addressing the most recent events. Once we do, we will not be commenting on it further. Ruby was arrested, which needed to happen. Jody was arrested, which needed to happen. The kids are now safe, which is the number one priority. Franke's eldest daughter, Sherry, who is estranged from her parents, also spoke out about the arrest on her Instagram story on Thursday. Me and my family are so glad justice is being served. Sherry said, we have been trying to tell the police and CPS for years about this, and so glad they finally decided to step up. Kids are safe, but there's a long road ahead. Please keep them in your prayers and also respect their privacy. There's one other part that I thought I should read here that I skipped over. And so Franke is best known for her YouTube channel, 8 Passengers, where she documented her unique, strict parenting style as she raised her 6 children. Many of her videos focused on discipline and often received pushback from her audience for being overly harsh, like withholding lunch, which we've seen that on the live stream. She makes, so her 6-year-old, I think at the time, she would tell her to pack her lunch for the day, and I guess one day she forgot it, and the teacher said she felt uncomfortable that the daughter doesn't have any food and if she could bring it, and she just said, well, the mother said she just has to, she's not going to eat because I'm not going to go over there or whatever, and it's her responsibility, so now she has to suffer the consequences type of thing. Removing bedroom doors and threatening to throw away toys and clothes with sentimental value as punishment for minor infractions. The channel was removed from YouTube earlier this year under unknown circumstances. It had over 2.3 million followers. The channel was regularly plagued by accusations of child stuff, which Franke denied. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate that. What a bizarre story. And throwing away your entire, I don't know, life, your career. And I mentioned this on a live stream. Like, I feel like sometimes in certain cases, I mean, who knows? I don't know what's going on in this woman's head or the partner, business partner, to do this kind of stuff where, I mean, these kids are like duct taped to the point where they had these deep lacerations. Who knows how long they're, or the rope, I guess, caused maybe the lacerations. Who knows what kind of mental and physical stuff these kids had been going through. And to be having and giving like parenting advice while there's kids tied up in some basement, allegedly, from what we're hearing, and advising people on how to deal with life and advising parents. And like I said in that live stream, I feel like sometimes too, it's like this ego thing with some of these parents where they, I don't know, maybe narcissists, they have to feel in control, and like to the point of like this level where I think they feel like a high out of it, controlling everything somebody does, and that person is helpless, has no say, dictating to them. And not only that, because it was like a family channel, so putting it on YouTube and doing those kind of things to them. And I guess that was part of it, of the content, I guess. And how have police been being called for what they said years? And it takes a child jumping out of a window and escaping for their life for these people finally to do something? I mean, supposedly police would show knocking on the door and they wouldn't answer. But I mean, I don't know. I would think when it involves a child, isn't there something they can do more? Crazy. Anyway, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out the PayPal link and see you next time. Peace. Bloop, bloop. I can't lie though. When I seen this,
police say this is the house a young child escaped.
I was like, damn, it thing like a compound, some sort of cult compound. But I that's actually how desert houses are, and you can see them kind of pivot. You see in the background, like I guess neighbors. I think that's how the housing is. But when I first saw this,
this is the house a young child escaped
I was like, what the hell? What kind of bunker is this? All right, peace.